This video explains how to calculate the slope of a line. The slope of a line characterizes the general direction in which a line points, and it shows how steep or flat it is. To find the slope, you divide the difference of the y coordinates between 2 points on a line by the difference of the x coordinates. Let's see how we do this. Suppose you have to calculate the slope of this supply curve. The slope of this line is the same everywhere on this line because it is a straight line. The slope of the line indicates, firstly, the direction of the line, does it slope upwards or downwards, and secondly, how steep or flat it is. So how do we do this? First, identify 2 points on the line. It can be any 2 points. We identify point A and point B. The formula for the slope of the line is change in y divided by change in x. The vertical axis is the y-axis, thus the axis on which prices, P, are measured here. This is the vertical axis, the y-axis. The horizontal axis is the x-axis, thus the axis on which quantity, or Q, is measured in this diagram. This is the horizontal axis, the x-axis. Change in y, or triangle y, means change in y. Thus we want to know by how much the variable on the y-axis changed when we moved from point A to point B. At A, B is 5. At B, the value on the y-axis, B is 12. Thus the value of B changes from 5 to 12. The change in y is equal to 12 minus 5 equals 7. Change in y is equal to 7. The price increased from 5 to 12 when we move from point A to point B. Triangle x, meaning change in x, thus we want to know by how much the variable on the x-axis changed when we moved from point A to point B. At A, the value on the x-axis, Q, is equal to 4. And at B, the value on the x-axis, Q, is equal to 15. Thus the value of Q changes from 4 to 15. Change in x is equal to 15 minus 4, which is equal to 11. Quantity increases by 11. The value on the x-axis changes by 11. Now we can calculate the slope. Change in y divided by change in x is equal to 7 divided by 11, which is equal to 0,636. The slope has a positive value, thus it slopes upwards. The positive slope means that the value on the x-axis, quantity, changes in the same direction as the value on the y-axis, the price. Let's now consider the slope of a demand curve. Once again, this is a straight line, so the slope will be the same everywhere on the line. You will also remember we said that the slope of the line indicates the direction of the line, i.e. does it slope upwards or downwards, and how steep or flat it is. So let's calculate the slope of this demand curve. First, identify 2 points on the line. We identify point C and point E. The formula for the slope of the line is change in y over change in x. Like with the previous graph, the vertical axis is the y-axis, where prices, or P, are measured. The horizontal axis is the x-axis, where quantity, or Q, is measured. change in y from C to E. At C, price is 11, and at E, price is 5. So the change in y is equal to 5 minus 11 equals minus 6. The price decreases by 6 when we move from point C to point E. The change in x from C to E. At C, quantity is equal to 4, and at E, quantity is equal to 11. So the change in x is equal to 11 minus 4 equals 7. Quantity increases by 7 when we move from point C to point E. Therefore, change in y divided by change in x is equal to minus 6 divided by 7, which is equal to minus 0,857. The value of the slope is negative, as you can see. The negative value of the slope indicates that the line slopes downwards. The negative value therefore indicates that when the value of the y-axis, the price, changes, the value on the x-axis, the quantity, changes in the opposite direction. When the price level decreases, quantity demanded increases. Let's now compare different slopes. The demand curve D accent is flatter than the demand curve D. For D, the slope that we calculated is minus 0,857. For D accent, the change on the y-axis, the change in Q, is larger for the same change on the y-axis, or a change in P. At the price level of 5, the quantity on D accent at point H is 18. That's from C to H. On D accent, the change in Y price is the same, equals to minus 6, but the change in X is larger. It is now 18 minus 4 equals 14, which is larger than 7, which the change in X was on demand curve D. On D accent, the slope of the line, change in Y divided by change in X, is equal to minus 6 divided by 14 is equal to minus 0,429. This curve is flatter, thus it has a smaller slope. The flatter curve shows that the variable on the x-axis changes more for the same change on the y-axis. Let's now compare the supply curve S with the supply curve X accent. Which curve is the steepest? Yes, S accent is steeper than S. This means S accent has a larger slope. It means that for the same change in P, the change in quantity is smaller on S accent than it is on S. See if you can calculate the slope of the curve S accent. The correct answer is 1,75. If that is not your answer, work through these slides again.